Before I start my presentation, I would like to make two disclaimers. First, you will not understand contemporary art in 5 minutes, even if you really want to. And second, this is you who will help me to understand contemporary art. And me, as a Bart Simpson told, I'll try. Okay, and now it's time for presentation. How to understand contemporary art. Let's start from a short question just to test. What do you think? Is this art? Fresh banana taped to the wall. Please, in the chat, put pluses if you think yes, and minus if you think no. Plus if it's yes, and minus if it's no. Okay, so we have plus and minus, 3 pluses, 3 minuses. Okay, I see it's more minuses now. Yeah, and plus, cool. So it's 50-50. Let's go back to the answer to this question and to this question at the end of the session, if you are curious enough. To start to understand contemporary art, we need to start from the other question. What is actually contemporary? When does it come? When is the first contemporary art thing was created? And here I'm going to ask you again, what do you think? When is contemporary period started? So maybe 21st century, or maybe is it 20th century, or which year? Maybe you know it. Please help me to find the answer to this question, and as well write down your answers into the chat. 60s, 20th century, okay, 60s plus, 1920, 20th century, cool. So contemporary art is actually modern art of today, made by living artists, but it's also more broadly as a late 20th century and early 21st century. It's also about recent years, present days. And contemporary art actually is thought to start from the pop art. You know, this is famous artwork by Andy Warhol. It was a post-war America and USA. And Andy Warhol started this movement talking about mass culture and consumerism. Roy Lichtenstein was also his friend, and they also created in a pop art atmosphere. The main thing was not to show something that doesn't exist, but to reflect the society. And it was really 60s, so you were right, who guessed. And in 80s, the pop art was reborn with a new neo-pop art by Jeff Koons. And here is his very famous artwork, Balloon Dog, which was sold for like record sum in US dollars. And I'm gonna ask you again, how much do you think this Balloon Dog cost? Please type into the chat and we see how much do you think? So $5,000, 500,000, 3 millions, 100,000, 5 millions, less than $1. Nice idea. Yes, 1 million. And here is the answer. It is, yes, it is $58 million. This is about art. Yes, and it can be really expensive. So what is important to understand about contemporary art, that it's not the material, the time the artist spent to producing art, but on the idea behind. And for example, this is one of the very popular and important contemporary artwork made by Chinese artist Ai Weiwei. And this is a series of the sculptures that recreate the 12 zodiac of the Chinese zodiac sculptures. You see them. And what's idea behind? Behind is idea of the architectural centerpiece of the imperial gardens outside, and you can see these zodiac sculptures there, and it is outside of Beijing in 18th and 19th century. So this artwork is about globalization in the world, about the role of the China it took place. And Ai Weiwei, actually, he's the most famous Chinese artist, and he was also in the jail because he was against the Chinese government. So contemporary art reflects complex issues that shape our diverse, global, and rapidly changing world. And one of the form of contemporary art is earth art or land art. This is also kind of famous piece art. And what do you think? Again, question for you. What kind of issues does it reflect? To help you, I tell you that this is made everything from the stones, only from the natural materials. And this is kind of artificial island in the sea. What kind of issues is this art about? When someone wants to answer, you can just unmute yourself and speak out, or you can type in the chat. What is it all about? Okay, I see the answer. Sustainability, human impact on ecology. Yeah, you're completely right. So earth art came up in the 60s when people started talking about climate change, about global warming, and they tried to make art as sustainable as possible. And street art. Art came out of the walls of the galleries to make it more public, to speak, to talk to people with a more broad variety of questions. And this is very famous mural made by Kit Haring. The question for you again, what famous street artists do you know who make art pieces all around the world on the walls? Maybe you do you know his name? I've got a hint, yeah, his. Banksy, yeah, you are right. This is Banksy. I knew you will know it. And this is his famous rage flower thrower. So the guy who's throwing the bouquet of flowers instead of the bomb. So this is all about the peace, the pacifism. And this is also about the issues. So contemporary art comes into different types of forms. It can be installation or it can be performance. Here you see Marina Abramovic, the Serbian artist. And it's the short summary. So it's not only about illusion, it's about the truth. An artist became the politician because any kind of art, even if it's just a street art, it's public, so it's political. And what's interesting, the art is a democracy test. There has been researches that art in the countries where the contemporary art is developed are more tolerant to society. And how to understand it? Just a short answer, be curious, be open-minded, and debate, and think about it. Here is it. So, but if you are curious enough, I ask if it is an art about the banana. And the short answer, yes. In 2019, it was exhibited in Art Basel in Miami Beach, and it was sold for $120,000 because everything is on the wall of the gallery is a masterpiece.